I am Dracula.
La saga de la momia continua. Welcome back, everyone, to the Graveyard Club podcast. As you know, we've been reviewing all the Mummy movies leading up to the Lee Cronin movie coming out next month. And we made our way through all of the Universal ones, starting with the Boris Karloff one, all of the Karras ones, and obviously ended with the Abbott and Costello one. There's another trilogy of Mummy movies that we're going to discuss now, starting with this one, the Aztec Mummy. Joining me today on the podcast, we have Zontarr and Bryan. You know them being here the last couple of weeks. I'm really excited to be chatting about this one today because I kind of went in with low expectations. I didn't know what to expect too much with this one. It's my first time watching a kind of an older foreign movie in subtitles. So it was an interesting watch, but I was quite surprised by it. So yeah, as I said, it's a Mexican adventure horror movie from 1955, directed by Rafael Portillo, starring Raymond Gay, Rosita Arenas, Crow, Avaldo. They're the three billed names in this movie. I had a look at the other cast, and I think they could be kind of just once-off appearances. I'm not too sure, but these were the three main actors in this one. So as I said, this is a part of a trilogy. Released the same year as this one, we got the sequel, Curse of the Aztec Mummy, and then the following year later we get the third one, The Robot versus the Aztec Mummy. Has anyone here seen any of the sequels?
Not yet. I'm definitely going in blind with less. Of course, I have read about them.
You seen any of these, Zontarr?
Saw Robot on Mystery Science Theater ages ago. Then looking around on Wiki and IMDb, it's like, wait, are there two films, three films, or four films? A little confusing. Because like everybody says there's three, but then I ran into the wrestling women, the Aztec Mummy versus the wrestling women, and it's only on some sites and not on others. Like, right, and then one of them had the original called Curse. Like, no, Curse is the second one. So it's a little confusing in Aztec Mummy Land.
Yeah, I did see there was a mention of a fourth movie, but then I'm reading other things and they're calling it a trilogy only. It's interesting. We'll see as we get through the movies. I suppose I'm curious to see what the Robot versus the Aztec Mummy is going to be like. That just sounds crazy. Well, I thought this one, as goofy as I thought it would have been going into it, there's a lot of nice callbacks to the Universal movies. They do take a lot of liberties from them movies and make it their own in this one. Quite interesting. Obviously, the big main thing that's different with this one, it's the Aztec influence versus what we're used to really is the Egyptian kind of theme of the old ones. I found that really interesting. And another thing I was looking, there's a lot of scenes in this movie where it's obviously not shot on site of where the Aztec pyramids are, but it's quite convincing. They've done a nice job. I'm not sure what the budget was in this movie. I'm reading things that was a low budget movie, but it didn't look too low, I suppose. I know you were watching the archive version of this one, Bryan. Is that what you watched as well, Zontarr?
No, unfortunately, I watched it on YouTube, and the transfer's not very good. Either the transfer's very good or it's shot really dark. I can't tell. Actually, it's so dark.
That's it.
I was like, wow, this is yet another dark scene. That's why I made the joke about they didn't buy lights until 3 movies later.
Like that, I did think that myself. I said that to Bryan earlier on. There's a lot. It's quite the crappy copy that I was watching on archive. I don't know if there's a restored version or a Blu-ray version out there, but yeah, there's a lot of scenes in this movie you can barely see anything, especially when they're in the temple near the end, and it's quite dark. There's a lot of films from the time that done the dark scenes like that a little bit better. So that's why I don't know what the budget is on this. I was trying to find if it was a low budget movie or what, but I'm sure it was quite low enough. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to. Sorry, go ahead, Bryan.
Yeah, this movie was apparently recut in 1963 as Attack of the Mayan Mummy, featuring new scenes with American actors discussing the action.
I did not know that. It was an American release.
Yeah.
Oh, and did you watch a dub version, Zontarr, or was it subtitled?
Subtitled.
Yeah, like that's what me and Brian were saying. Like, I don't think there's a dubbed version of it out there. But funny enough, the other two movies have a dubbed version out there. People want to, people are interested in watching them. Like, you can only watch this on subtitle. I'm gonna talk a little bit about the cast. So, like, Raymond Gay, Rosita Arenas, and I think that's Croy Alvarado. Spanish isn't great, but yeah, they were quite good. Raymond Gay obviously plays the main doctor, and that we're going to be talking about soon when we get into the plot. It done a quite convincing job of what it is. I don't think the acting was that silly in this one. I was as low budget as it may be. I thought the three of them in this film were quite good. Really, it's especially with the crappy copy that I was watching. It was like watching a movie from the 1940s. So it's coming fresh off the Universal movie straight into this. It didn't look any newer. Fucking the Boris Karloff one. The quality's so bad. I'm not sure if that was like Mexico weren't up to scratch with the Americans at the time. I don't know, but yeah, for a movie of its budget, of its like kind of style, I think it's quite good. As I said before, the set design was really good. Like, it's like they almost put all the money into that, in my opinion. It was like that they were really at the Aztec pyramids. And anyway, we'll get more about it when we get into the plot. But yeah, just going into this movie blind, I had no idea until Brian mentioned this movie when we were doing our reviews of the other ones, that there was a trilogy of Mexican mummy movies. How fucking interesting. Another thing I don't want to forget about to talk about today either is how the mummy itself in this movie, it's quite different to the Karas design. Yeah, we'll talk about, because we don't see the mummy for a little bit, but we'll talk about the story, because I actually think it's quite interesting. So Dr. Almada is explaining this theory of hypnotic regression, or past life regression it's called as well. It's like an old theory which I was looking into, that people used to be hypnotized and they tried to remember past things in their life, or even if they were in this case of the movie, a reincarnation of another person, which it's quite interesting. I'm not familiar with any movie that kind of used this theory. Did anyone here ever watch a movie that has this theory? This is quite new to me, this regression theory.
Hold on. Have
the she creature.
The sea creature had a.
The she creature.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's another
okay,
one.
Here's the passage right here from How the World Remade Hollywood. Salazar also added a modern spin on the reincarnation story by incorporating past life regression inspired by the then popular case of Virginia Tighe, the Colorado housewife who purported to be the rebirth of a 19th century Irish woman named Brodie Murphy. The sensational account was ultimately debunked, but not before it was published as The Search for Brodie Murphy in 1956 and adapted into a movie of the same name which captured the public imagination. B-picture filmmakers were quick to cash in with even more fantastical tales of hypnotic regression, including American cult horror classics The She Creature and The Undead, both of which notably saw distribution in Mexico.
That's so interesting. I was actually reading about that, how it is kind of inspired about what happened with that woman. How true all of that stuff was is a different story. But yeah, it is quite interesting for them to implement it into a mummy movie. That's
She creature is the same year as this, I believe.
She Creature was the previous year. The Undead was the same year as this.
Got it. Right.
Yeah, quite interesting.
57.
Yeah, this movie was 57 as well, I believe, isn't it? 1957.
Yeah, and this movie was 57. So 2 years after Abbott and Costello meet the Mummy, but 2 years before the Hammer films begin.
That's what, like, Jesus, like, thinking of it now, there was a lot of mummy movies back then. If people weren't sick enough of seeing the fucking Universal movies, they got a Mexican trilogy straight after it, and then got it in color a couple of years later.
There's something interesting. The screenwriter Alfredo Salazar, his brother Abel, actually made the film El Vampiro, also released in 1957, which he described as Dracula on a Mexican hacienda. Obviously inspired by the Universal film of Bela Lugosi.
I want to talk a little bit about the Aztec influence, Brian. You'd probably know a bit more than I would. Like, obviously, the Universal was using the Egyptian theme, and it was quite over the top Egyptian. I'm sure it wasn't that flashy back then in the Egyptian times. Would you say in this movie it was quite faithful to what the Aztecs were really like back then, like them rituals and what they were doing in the tomb? Because I wouldn't really know too much about the Aztecs.
Well, if I remember correctly, the sacrifices would have been on top of the pyramids, not within it. So, yeah, but they were definitely drawing from Mexico. Was definitely drawing. I'm sorry, Alfredo Salazar was definitely drawing from Mexico's Aztec past. It's more domestic,
Mm-hmm.
which is actually a great idea. And our titular Aztec mummy actually resembles the mummies of, sorry if I'm not great at this pronunciation, Guanajuato. These were the corpses of men, women, children who died in the cholera epidemic in the 1850s. They were initially interred above ground in crypts, but then when the families weren't able to pay the government mandated burial tax, the remains were removed to a ossuary.
Interesting. So the influence is definitely there, and it seems to be quite faithful. Getting a little bit back onto the plot. So Dr. Almada is obviously showing his theory to a bunch of scientists. None of them are kind of believing it. You kind of need actual proof of this. So unfortunately, this doctor needs a test subject. He needs a volunteer that he can test on. He needs to hypnotize them and bring a past life back from them. So I don't know why. I honestly don't know why she was the one that wanted to put her hand up to do it. But his fiance Flor steps up to the plate, which is crazy to me, and she becomes the test dummy, and we get a great lab scene. Again, harken back to the classic Universal monster movies. You can see the influence in here straight away. She's all hooked up, being hypnotized, and we see like a shadow character in the background. And I'll be honest, you're quite creepy. I'll tell you one thing. There's a few scenes in this movie that are actually genuinely creepy, in my personal opinion. And we get it straight off the bat in this scene where we see a shadow man, just dressed in all black. You can see his eyes. He's wearing some sort of hat. He's just it's perfectly shot, and he's watching over the whole like the lab and the experiment that he's basically doing on his fiance, which is quite creepy. We'll learn a little bit later more about what he is, who he is, I should say. Yeah. So then the doctor pretty much finds out that his fiance is the reincarnation of a princess, an Aztec princess. Is Shata, I think, is how you pronounce her name. Shata. XO. He said it in the movie a couple of times.
Xochitl. I'm not really great with these pronunciations. I can't say Quetzalcoatl, Montezuma, Cuauhtemoc, but yeah, that's because I've played a lot of Age of Empires too.
Yeah. Well, I'm the same, man. I can't pronounce this. We basically get a classic Universal style flashback scene of what happened to this princess. It's the kind of same deal. She got caught with an Aztec warrior. She was forbidden for love because she was born to be sacrificed to the Aztec god. So she was sacrificed, and anyway, with the Aztec warrior. And yeah, so basically the doctor finds out, like my fiance, my soon-to-be wife, is actually the reincarnation. And in this flashback scene, we actually find out where she's buried in the temple, I suppose. And she was buried with like kind of like Aztec treasure. She was buried with a chest plate that the doctor has interest in, because he can use that as evidence to show the other scientists. He's trying to prove his theory here. So it's basically full steam ahead to find the temple, and I think his fiance actually helps him find where the temple is. So while that's all happening, that shadow character in the background is basically just kind of like mob boss, kind of like a head of a gang. Now, again, I don't know how this fella creeped into that house, but like he's basically after what the doctor wants as well, for his own reasons as well. So that's the kind of spiral to to get this treasure off the Doctor. Again, a cool little character. This fellow. I think we don't find out till later on, but his name is the Bat. So we'll just call him the Bat. But like, you don't really find out till a little bit later on that is his actual name, because they're all he has like a gang that he keeps calling in throughout the movie, and they all call him Maestro. So yeah, so we'll actually go with Maestro. That's kind of a kill. I think I'd rather that. Yeah, so yeah, we get scenes of them in the temple, around the tombs. For a movie, I've read, as I said earlier on, like I've read this movie was meant to be a low budget film. The set looked quite good. Like it was quite believable. I actually had to go online and check, was this movie filmed on set, which of course is not. Did anyone else agree that I thought the set design was quite good in this movie?
Yeah, it looks quite good, especially in the pyramid.
And quite
Looks great.
Yeah, quite faithful too. I'm not sure where the sequel movies go. Do we stay around like these kind of Aztec pyramids? Do we see more of that, or do we just go left field from here? It's going to be interesting to see when we get into more of them. But they do end up managing to find the skeleton remains of the princess, and they do take the chest plate, and we get a lovely scene of the mummy. Now, he does have a name. I think his name is Popoca, I think is how he says his name. Again, I'm brutal.
Popoca? That's how it's spelled. I'm not sure about the exact pronunciation.
I think you're right, Brian. I think it is Popoca. So it obviously triggers, like them taking that chest plate away from the princess obviously triggers his bloodstreams, and the mummy comes back alive. We don't see much of him. We get that little glimpse, but we don't see him from much later. So basically, we're all back then from the Aztec pyramids. The Doctor showing the other scientists the chest plate. So it's basically they actually want to go back again. I think it was another piece of armor or jewelry for the princess. I forget actually what it was. I think it was an armband that they want to go back for. And
I think so.
Yeah, it was. I think it was an armband, and they do go back for that. That mummy chases them all the way back to that house. So again, that gang is on the lookout for that house for the treasure as well. But they also have a mummy as well coming in, which is quite cool. Like the mummy in this one is quite different to the Karis one. I'll talk a little bit about the design of the mummy now. It's quite freakishly tall. I can appreciate the way they shot the mummy in this movie. I was so used to seeing Karis just walking around blatantly in towns around the swamp in broad daylight, it seemed like. And, it kind of lost its touch with me, them last two movies. But in this one, it was kind of a breath of fresh air, especially in the scenes where he's back in the tomb and he's like near the ending and he's shot in the dark. I thought that was pretty good. The only thing I thought he fucked up on the design of the mummy itself is actually the face. I think once we get to see the face, I'm like, okay, that's a little bit silly looking. But I thought it was a pretty good effective mummy. Again, there's some pretty good scary scenes in this one. What did you think of the design of the mummy, Brian?
It's a pretty good one. Very distinct. As I said, inspired by the mummies of Guanajuato. So it's definitely something. Well, it's new, and yes, it's new to us, but it's of course a movie from 1957, and but even then we don't typically see this sort of mummy. God, I think we might only other one we've probably only ever seen this in the hollowed rain tree. I think maybe.
Yeah, but
which
was
of course which was of course an animated film based on a Ray Bradbury novel, and that was very good. Probably one of the few times we're actually going to see something like that. And of course, there was also a Real Adventures of Johnny Quest episode, but I think those were actual Aztec Mayan, not actually in an ossuary.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. Well, this is the first that I've ever seen it. It's a pity that like it's not normalized enough. It's always Egyptian mummies. But it's quite cool. Like that's one thing I think I'll take away from these movies. Like the Aztec influence and themes overall are it's excellent. It's different, and I just love the scenes. I love that flashback scene. Even the sacrifice scene itself inside that tomb was quite good. That inside that temple, I should say, was quite good. So meanwhile, while all this is happening, Maestro is sending spies. Well, the spies are spying on the Doctor the whole time. We send some of his henchmen to receive that chest plate that the Doctor has, which a group is taken to Flor's house in their escape to Popoca. The henchman assault on the group is cut short by the arrival of Popoca, who slaughters them, which is another great scene. Popoca, I'm just going to call him the Mummy. The Mummy basically whips his fiance Flor and brings her and brings her back, and it's because she's basically the reincarnation. So it's kind of the same trope as the old movies. The reincarnation, the Mummy seeing that as his long lost love and brings her back. And then we get at the ending of the movie. It's quite. I wouldn't say I'm disappointed. Like if I was to nitpick a little bit, I think the ending of the movie was just kind of like, oh, what the fuck happened there? Like, so we basically get everyone now into the tomb. The Mummy's there, the Doctor's there, his fiance's there, the gang is there, and the Bat is there, or Maestro is all there. And this is where I was saying earlier, like we get the scene of the Mummy fully the full appearance of the Mummy. He's creeping around. He's creeping around the tombs and the shadows, and I just think that's so fucking effective. I think like that was something that we didn't see too much in the Universal movies. Like what's nice about this movie, they done something a little bit different with the Mummy with how it's shot, and especially coming off like the Mummy's Course and Ghost, where he's just walking around smashing things up. Karis. This Mummy was quite frightening to me. I think that was one of my favorite scenes in this movie. But can somebody explain to me about the ending of this movie where there was an explosion within the tomb, within the temple? I didn't really catch what went on there. What like so obviously the Doctor had
Flor's father basically just sacrifices himself to stop Popoca, and of course, the next film, from what I've read, picks up right where the first movie left off. So,
and I have a question, Brian. Was that a cross that the Doctor held up against the?
It was a cross. It wasn't an ankh. It wasn't anything specifically related to Aztec or Mayan culture. It was just a regular old cross.
A vampire mummy. That's fucking unreal, man. A vampire mummy. This movie gets better. Like I was looking at that thinking, that is so fucking random. Why is there just a random cross? He's not Dracula. But fuck, a vampire mummy, man. We're gonna go with that. That is fucking kill. But so when he sacrificed himself, obviously the mummy as well. Like, where did that explosion come from?
Maybe they had dynamite or something.
Yeah, because there was like from what I remember, there was there's nobody planting dynamite or bombs anywhere. Like I didn't know if that was the mummy exploding, or maybe it was the dynamite, like, and it was set off screen, and there was a big explosion in the end, and the movie kind of just ends like that. I don't know. I just didn't catch that at the end what the actual explosion was. But yeah, I thought that was actually a quite random scene with the cross, like proper Dracula vibes there. Yeah, so that is.
Yeah, and
oh, go ahead, man.
Yeah, as I said, the screenwriter's brother did create El Vampiro, which is basically Mexican Dracula. So
yeah, like I'm actually quite intrigued now by these Mexican 50s movies. I might have to check them out once we're done talking about these. I don't know. I enjoyed it. Like it's interesting that the three movies were shot back to back. Like the three of them was shot back to back, obviously for profit reasons. Now, one of the things I was reading about as well, do you reckon the reason why they went with the Aztec style was for copyright issues for Universal.
Yeah, might have been that from. Let's see what it says here. But rather than setting the story abroad, Salazar followed in his brother's footsteps and brought it home, drawing from Mexico's Aztec past to create a suitably domestic threat.
Man, like I was ready. I was ready to come in and shit on this movie. Just coming off them fucking classic movies, like these didn't look too interesting to me. I don't know if you were the same as Zontarr. Like I don't know if if you even liked this movie, but I thought like we'll talk a little bit about our ratings in a little bit. But I don't know. For me, I was quite surprised how intrigued and interested I was in this movie. I just think it was because it was coming off of the Universal movies where the formula was played out the entire time, except obviously for maybe the Abbott and Costello one.
Okay, so maybe I should keep in mind the other films listed in How the World Remade Hollywood. Like, let's see here. The Turkish Dracula, the Indian Nightmare on Elm Street, or how about the Japanese sequel to Paranormal Activity, literally called Paranormal Activity, blah, blah, blah. Paranormal Activity 2 Tokyo Night.
Wait, man, you had me stuck on the Japanese Nightmare on Elm Street. That sounds crazy.
No, Indian.
Oh, the Indian, sorry.
Indian Nightmare on Elm Street.
Even crazier, man. That like, and what is it? Is it called Nightmare on Elm Street?
No, hold on. It's called Mahakon, but its translated title is Time of Death.
Interesting. There's a whole world of movies that I'm turning the blind side to.
Of course, we should also check it. I mean, there's also the Turkish Exorcist. There's the Hong Kong King Kong film, The Mighty Peking Man.
I've seen clips of that Exorcist one. That actually looks quite genuinely scary.
Yeah, I've seen the Turkish Exorcist. It's not bad.
And you haven't seen the original one, Brian?
No, but I have seen The Exorcist 3.
Yeah, oh yeah. I reviewed that one before, but that's another great one. Yes, it's a lot of them foreign films, man. They sound quite fun, to be honest with you. Like I like how they take the characters and do something new with them. Well, yeah, like link a few. I know you did it before, but link a few of them in the Discord, man. Like this, like some of them would be kind of cool to watch, I think. Another thing that I was trying to get going on the Discord, I was actually I was in another horror server there earlier, and they were playing Friday the 13 movies in a little watch party. I'm trying to get that going over here. Kept lagging the last fucking time, but that's something I want to look into it though as well. But yeah, the Aztec Mummy. What more can we say on this one? Zontarr, what did you genuinely think of this movie?
It's too dark.
I couldn't say a thing.
It's the bit where it's like, gosh, and it's there's a bit too where it's like in the U.S. too, in Hollywood, there's a bit where if you get the really Z grade sci-fi or horror, it's just the cheapest film they can get. It's just a bit where you can hear the conversation of like, no, go back and get cheaper film. Director off arguing with the guy who went to get the film. Like, gosh, with better film and better lighting, I'd have a better estimation of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then also the bat. It's like, well, it's almost half the film is more about the bat than it is the mummy. And who is this guy? I'm sure I didn't bother checking. It's like, is he in other films? Are we supposed to know who he is, or is he original to this?
That is true. The maestro took up a good chunk of that story, and I think he almost kind of steals the show for me. That scene where he first approached the Aztec pyramids, and the fucker is standing on top of one of the pyramids. What man? That again, that kind of took me off guard. I was like, that is quite spooky. That is quite spooky. If you went up to them pyramids and seen some mad fucker stand on top of them, I think you get multiple years in prison now for standing on pyramids. that was crazy. But that was my one critique as well, as Zontarr was saying to Bryan. Jesus Christ, I don't know if it was a bad copy I was watching, or was the movie just that badly shot, or like maybe just the copy of it was badly damaged, or there's no restoration for it. But yeah, there's a lot of scenes I genuinely can't see. I thought, like, I was watching this on my desktop, and I had the brightness cranked up all the way, the screen angled down at me, and yeah, still couldn't see a thing. That is a gripe. And I think the other movies, I don't know if the budget went down lower on these other movies, but fuck me, man, the other movies looked quite cheap as well. Be interesting to see. But yeah, we'll slowly go around and we give our ratings. But like, if you guys, for the listeners out there, if you made it this far and you're still listening, make sure you do like the video and rate over on Spotify. We have a couple of new followers over there, but like I need a couple of we need a couple of ratings over there. So make sure you drop a rating over there and subscribe.
And sorry to interrupt, but I was able to find the Egyptian Rocky Horror Picture Show on the Internet Archive.
Make sure you check out for that review coming soon. We're gonna do all of these movies. It's funny, like this started at just, I thought we were gonna stop at the Universal ones and maybe do one or two more Hammers, but I did not realize there were so many other mummy movies out there. I actually think I've been having quite fun, and I think it's been great for the channel, like seeing a series of mummy movies. This has been quite fun to do. So yeah, the listeners, if you haven't checked out any of them Universal ones, make sure you do. I think there's 6 of them movies, starting from the 1932 one, ending at the 55 Abbott Costello one. That was a great series. Like they're great episodes, very insightful, a lot of information, a lot of facts in them. So make sure you're checking them out. If you only stumbled across us today. So yeah, these Aztec Mummy movies, it's going to be interesting to see. So Bryan, I want you to start off, man, and just what did you like about the movie, what you didn't like, and then leave me with a rating.
I like that we actually got into some new territory. Not sure how many people are going to be covering these foreign remakes, because let's face it, it's very fascinating, and we basically already covered one with King Kong Escapes, if you want to call it a foreign remake. But even then, that is a bit more on the official side, while here we're on the unofficial side. Still, it's nice that we're talking about these. Yeah, I have seen a bit of these. I have, of course, seen the Russian adaptation of The Jungle Book. Not horror, but of course, foreign adaptation, foreign remake, however you want to call it. Good lord. There's a lot of foreign adaptations out there. Bela Lugosi Dracula film is a foreign adaptation, for God's sake. Nice to see something new instead of the old Egyptian. That's something that I really makes me wish Tomb of the Dragon Emperor did better, so we could, see them expand to like other cultures that have mummies. Things I did not like, how dark it was, and how the bat seems to be more the antagonist than the mummy.
Yeah, than anyone else really in that movie. What would you rate out of 5, Bryan?
Put it at a 4. Might change my rating depending on how I like following films.
Yeah, that's a quite strong score. Good points there as well, man. Zontarr, what about you, man?
I gotta go low rating on this one. It's a curiosity and it's interesting, but just the film quality is just the biggest problem. It's like just terrible film quality and lighting. And then again, the bat is like, is he? It's like, well, I don't know Mexican culture of the 50s enough to know. He might be from a comic book. He might be from a popular series of novels. He might be brand new to this. It's like, who's this guy? Like, there's almost like a little bit of like proto James Bond villain with this guy, and and was it just the Bat movie or is it a Mummy movie? A little disjointed.
Zontarr's not going to be here next week. What would you rate out of 5, man?
I'll go 2. Yeah, I'm thumbs down on this one.
See, I'm torn. I can see both sides here. The movie is quite silly. It's quite wacky. Like, I'm quite used to watching these old movies, so like the bad quality, I don't really mind. Like, one of my favorite movies from the 1930s is Freaks, and I've seen that in multiple
Oh,
different.
sure.
Oh man, amazing movie. One of my favorites, and like I've seen a lot of different versions of that, but it's still a lot of the dialogue is quite hard to hear. Well, listen to you can't really understand some of the characters all the time in that movie. So like I can kind of get past quality of these old movies, but yeah, as you said, Zontarr, there's some. It's really bad in parts of this movie. It's shot really dark. They could have fixed that with more lighting. A simple, like the first movie that popped into my head that has really really dark scenes like this that done it even better, and it's from around the same time period, is the Mole People. Now,
Yeah.
a different sort of budget, I suppose, but there was a lot of dark scenes in that, and yeah, it was just done a little bit more effectively, I suppose. What I did like about this movie, though, is obviously the Aztec influence. Really interesting and really different, especially coming off them Universal movies. It was a breath of fresh air. It was quite interesting. I thought, even though the story took a lot from them older movies, it did put a nice twist in it with this regression, even though it is a load of shit. The theory was quite interesting. The mummy design I liked. I really, really liked how the mummy was shot in this one. Quite scary. As I said, the scenes where he's creeping and he's the full appearance when he comes out of the inside of the tomb, it's quite effective for me. I actually really enjoyed that scene. The back character, the more I think about it, the more slapsticky he does kind of look. He looks quite ridiculous, and he did kind of steal the show. A lot of the story, as the boys are at the saying here, was about him. The mummy really played second fiddle in this movie. Even in the Abbott and Costello one, it played second fiddle, but this one it really did. Like, we only had a couple of scenes with the mummy, and it would have been nice to get a little bit more mummy action. That will affect my score a little bit. But yeah, no, I thought the three main actors. But actually, the one little nitpick I will say, the comic relief character was the doctor's assistant. I think his name was Picante. He wasn't funny. I didn't find him funny. Like the only thing I found him quite funny was when he seen the bat the first time and he's trying to tell the group that he's seen a ghost. I thought that was pretty funny, but like I'm pretty sure he was meant to be the comic relief in this movie, and yeah, that wasn't that funny. I didn't think, but yeah, no, I thought the three main build characters, actors, done a great job. The dialogue was good. It was interesting. It's a 50s movie, I suppose. But yeah, my score, I'd probably give it. See, I always base it off what I don't know if anyone on the panel here is on Letterboxd, but any movie that I watch, I always log it into Letterboxd and I'll type out a couple of lines and review it, and it's just a good way to log all your movies. But if Bryan and Zontarr, if you're not on it, and you just watch a lot of films, it's a good little app to use. You can log all your movies, and it's quite cool.
Oh, good lord, I found the Indian remake of Child's Play.
The Indian?
Yeah.
Man, I didn't know the Indians were doing it big like that over there. Fuck. I need to check it out. And the Indian Nightmare on Elm Street. That one sounds fucking crazy. An Indian Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, they have one giant monster movie in India, and it's a lost film. It's one of these, we keep hoping it shows up. Golgotha, something like that, and there's like a still or two, and that's about it.
What's the monster?
Hold on, I'll get a photo of him. He's an odd-looking one.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, I'm just looking at other chapters of Hollywood remade Hollywood. There's the Mexican Batwoman film, a Japanese Spider-Man TV show, an Indian Superman where he gets his powers from the god Hanuman.
I fucking love it. Are you finding all these in that book, Brian?
Yeah, Hollywood remade Hollywood. Global interpretations of 65 iconic films.
Sick, man.
Yeah, I highly recommend it.
Let's check that out. And you were saying, Brian, that Mummy book, for anyone that's listening, Brian was reading the Universal Monster released these new comic book movies. I'm sure the listeners probably know, but Brian was reading the Mummy one. You said it was good, Brian?
Yeah, it was very good. Got a few more mummies with Imhotep reviving some in the museum to fight Frank and Muller, which is something that we didn't get in the Karloff film, but that's really cool. Honestly, why do we need another Brendan Fraser film? Let's just use that as a new mummy film, like remake, like adapt that.
I agree. I fully agree, man. Like that could be definitely explored more in movie format, without a doubt, man. So that comic sounds like it kind of links. Oh my God, Zontarr. Oh my God, Brian, check that out and.
Oh my lord!
Yeah.
And of course,
there's
I'm
a
on
still or two. That's about it. You know.
Yeah.
You should be glad that's a lost film. Imagine pitting that up against Godzilla. Oh my God, man.
Better off this way.
They're not missing much, man. When did it come out, in the 50s, Zontarr?
Say again?
Was that a 50s movie? This one?
I don't know offhand. I think I'm gonna go 60s. I'll know in a minute.
Fuck me, it does look like a good watch. But yeah, Brian, so yeah, that comic does sound like it links a little bit of the story before the Karloff movie, and then you get the Karloff movie then in the comic. I'm assuming.
Yeah, it adapts it, but it's not 100% the same. It does do some new stuff. Helen and Oxynorman actually communicate with one another. So the current life and the past life, it's a nice change.
Definitely gonna have to check them out. I know the Phantom of the Opera one was newly released.
Yeah.
And from what because I didn't understand, Brian, like, so like they're only getting like a 4-issue release for each monster series, is it? Like,
yeah, it's a mini series. So when they're all and when it's done, they'll eventually be collected together in a hardcover format.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Yeah, that's nice for like a newbie like me. Like I wouldn't really read much comics, but knowing that there's only 4 issues, it's quite easy to get into. I'm definitely going to pick that Mummy one up, and definitely the Phantom of the Opera one. I'm a big fan of that story. Well, yeah.
Oh dear, Indian Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Yeah, that's what I just turned the page to.
Oh, even Harry Potter gets a foreign different.
Well, it's probably better than what Rowling's doing now. So
yeah, I suppose. Like, what's your guys' opinions on the? I don't know if it's a HBO show that's coming out, a Harry Potter series. Not sure if it's HBO.
I've not been keeping up with it. And that's mainly because I don't have the HBO streaming thing. I don't have cable anymore. I basically watch DVDs and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm the same. I don't have cable. I don't have cable for a couple of years, really. I don't really watch much television. Mainly YouTube for me, and then when I'm in the humor, I have a few Blu-ray DVDs I'll put on, or I might buy a new one. Or
Brazilian remake of Cars. I think I might skip that. Oh, and I think I'll skip the Chinese High School Musical also.
Because that'd be interesting, because in a lot of places in Brazil, they're driving the same cars as they were in the 80s. Like, American cars came into like Brazil in like around that time, and people have kept them running in a lot of places in Brazil to this day. So that'd be quite interesting in a lot of them places.
Yeah, and German version of Lassie. I think I've seen that on Prime. I should check that out.
I'm hearing Turkish. I'm hearing Indian. I haven't heard one Irish version of a classic horror. It's quite depressing. It's fucking
Well, go make it.
yeah, true, Zontarr, yeah. There's
There
actually
you go. Go make one.
there's actually a new see, we've almost had our time in the limelight, Zontarr. Like the Leprechaun movie was a good opportunity for it, but it's set in America, full of American actors.
Yep.
And but there's a new one coming out. I don't know if any of you've seen the trailer for it. It's called The Morrigan, and this shows you how probably stupid and naive I am. It's actually based off an Irish mythology that I have no idea about, and it's
Morgan, yes, equivalent of Hecate, who in Macbeth is the goddess of witchcraft.
I was thinking maybe it was like a banshee or something like that. So what's it? She was basically a witch, Brian.
Goddess, actually.
Oh, hey, did you watch that trailer?
No, but I'm familiar with not so much the figure as who she's equated with.
The movie looks fine. Like I'm not sure if any of you guys here are even into modern horror movies. Are you? Like, would you be a modern horror movie fan?
Depends. Basically, I got into it via literary adaptations of literary works.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Frankenstein, Dracula, and just expanded from there.
Yeah, like I'd keep up with some modern horror movies. Like I haven't seen probably most of them that have came out in the last 2 years. If you go through my channel on YouTube of our podcast, we haven't discussed a colored movie in about a year, and I don't think I've watched the colorized movie.
I mean, we're going to be getting to a color film
Hammer, yeah.
Eventually with the Hammer films.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. It's just like I'm putting a lot of my attention, film wise, into older movies. Like a lot of the movies Zontarr comes out with in the Discord, man, are fucking great. I watched the Catwomen of the Moon there the other night, and man, these are great movies that you can just switch the brain off and just enjoy. It doesn't matter how wacky the acting is or how low budget it looks, but I was digging, not to get off too much, but I've obviously wrapped up talking about the Mummy, but not to store too much, but I was getting more into, as of late, I've been getting more into like the 50 sci-fi movies. And when I watched that...
That's really my special. That's my specialty. Yeah, really.
Yeah, like
even more than...
Yeah, speaking of sci-fi, I'm in that part of the book right now. Anyone interested in a Turkish Flash Gordon or a Italian mashup of Alien and Terminator?
Well, man, I'm stuck on the Brazilian cars. That fuck me, man. I must get my hands on that book.
It's Italian Star Wars, Star Crash, which of course I've seen. You can watch it on Tubi.
It sounds ridiculous, and I love it. But yeah, I was late onto the scene with them sci-fi movies. They're fucking magical, man. The day the Earth stood still was kind of my entry into them movies, and it kind of just got more campier and low budget as I go on. But yeah, them Catwomen of the Moon. There's a few of them movies where I think you were talking about Zontarr, where the women are like the villains of the movie, and there's a couple of them, and especially the message in some of these movies are just hilarious. It's obviously a product of their time, but they're so fucking interesting. Oh, Zontarr's Wi-Fi has just cut out, so he'll be back.
So yeah, we also have a South Korean Tron. I mean, everyone's heard of the Turkish Star Wars. The Turkish Star Wars is pretty infamous. Let's hear Indonesian Terminator, Lady Terminator, Hong Kong RoboCop.
I can picture that being
Robo Vampire.
Damn.
Oh, there, Zontarr's back.
Yeah, Italian Predator. let's see. Let's get us back into Star Crash. Here we go. Japanese Planet of the Apes.
That could be quite good.
Turkish Star Trek. Japanese Star Wars.
Turkish are holding the fucking down, man.
Italian Mad Max 2. Not Italian Mad Max, Italian Mad Max 2.
Still no Irish.
Russian 12 Angry Men. Yeah, obviously I'm outside of the science fiction. I have no idea what Purple Rain is. I've never heard of it.
We lost Zontarr again.
Oh yeah. Turkish Bonnie and Clyde. Indian Fight Club.
How big is that book, Ryan?
Let's see. 288 pages. As I said, it covers 65 films. Turkish Rocky.
Yeah. Let me know if you find any Irish, man. We need to put that fucking on the map in the present. Yeah,
Turkish Godfather.
Okay, I'm not sure if any of you guys know this movie. Darby O'Gale. It was a Disney movie that was set in Ireland.
Yeah.
There's actually sure it'll be on Monday.
Yeah,
Tuesday. It'll be on Tuesday somewhere.
There's an Irish. There's an interpretation of the original book Dracula that Transylvania is supposed to be a stand-in for Ireland, and Dracula is supposed to be like this Anglo-Irish landlord.
I like the sound of that. Actually, I do want to talk a little bit about this time zone scenario that we had in the Discord. So the last couple of weeks, since we're all on different times, I've usually said 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to record, which would be 1 a.m. GMT time. And I thought that was set in stone. And then I seen Bryan and Zontarr joined the live on air chat. I was, what the fuck is going on here? And like I left it for a few minutes. That's why. Then I said 1 hour. And then Bryan replied back saying, okay, 9 p.m. then. And I goes, what the fuck, 9 p.m.? Man, I spent about 20 minutes going between ChatGPT and Google and trying not to lose my head, thinking like, did I lose an hour of my life somehow? And then I was thinking like about the time zone, about the time changes that happen twice a year when the clocks go forward and back. I double checked when it was happening in Ireland. It's not till another 2 weeks away. So then we basically deciphered it down and we found the culprit that EST time had their time changed last week. That fucked me up, man. Zontarr, man, you don't realise like the feeling like I was going through, man. I was waiting for the lights to come up. Like I almost left the server, man. I almost thought like I found like a glitch in the Matrix. I was like, that's fucking it. Like this is a fucking simulation. Yeah, so no, we figured it out now. So the two lads are obviously an hour ahead. My time change doesn't happen for another 2 weeks away. Which again, if you think about that hard enough, that doesn't even really make sense either. Because today I found out all time zones change at different times. I just thought they all changed at the same time.
Yep.
Crazy, man.
Yep.
Bryan, any more films in that book?
Indian Godfather. In Japanese, Unforgiven.
I didn't know India had mafia over there.
There's a lot of films like Three Giant Men, which is Captain America film where he teams up with Santo to fight Spider-Man.
How did we even get the rights to make these movies?
There's an Italian Conan the Barbarian named Ator the Fighting Eagle. Some
of these movies actually sound illegal. Black market movies. Like it's crazy that like these are.
A Filipino Wonder Woman.
I could see that working.
A Turkish version of the Phantom. Mexican Batwoman. Yeah, there's a lot. Like there's a Turkish Superman. There's a Spanish Superman, Supersonic Man.
I can imagine he'd have like a little mustache.
A South Korean Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Hold on now, that's crazy. Never dug into any down. But it was quite interesting. to watch a Mexican movie from this time. I'm obviously no stranger to watching foreign movies in subtitles. We all like our Godzilla movies here. But from well, yeah, I suppose it's still the 50s, but yeah, like a Mexican movie though was quite interesting. I'm quite intrigued to see how these other two movies go if we do want to talk about them. I don't know about Zontarr, but these next ones could be quite interesting before we get into the Hammer movies. So before we log off here, guys, I just want to get the timeline down here. So we have another two Aztec Mummy movies, and then that's when we start. That's when we start the Hammer.
Yeah.
And Hammer consists of 3 movies, I believe.
4.
Four movies. Oh shit! I didn't know there was 4 movies.
It's when we get into the color.
Yeah, we're finally bringing this podcast into color after literally a year. I was only looking at that the other day. The last movie reviewed on this show was a year ago. So it'd be nice, yeah. And the Hammer movies are quite popular.
King Kong versus Godzilla was in color.
Oh yes, Brian. You're right. Actually, I forgot about that one. And I was a little bit pissed off about that review as well. Me, Brian, and Titan reviewed that movie, and it was a great review. And Toho hit me with the copyright, which is interesting because King Kong Escapes that we reviewed a week earlier didn't get hit with the copyright from Toho, but King Kong vs Godzilla did, and it's now blocked in about 50 different countries. So I may as well fucking delete the thing. Do you know what I mean? What a shame! Like, so, like, and what's funny, another podcast that we had on Sofubi Sit Down, also that week was talking about, was also talking about King Kong versus Godzilla, and his stream got hit with the. Literally, as soon as he finished his stream got hit with the copyright, and it got taken down straight away. Toho must be like absolute ninjas. So yeah, just like anyone that's listening out there, be careful reviewing that movie. It's a fucker. Like, I spent a lot of time on that video, and it was a great podcast for it to pretty much get blocked in every single country that would watch it, including my own.
Honestly, we probably need to go in the watch along route or something.
Yeah, a lot of podcasts are doing that now, where they watch the movie and give their thoughts as they go along. I would like to do that as well, Brian. But I'd want to do that as a separate series. I'd almost want to be doing, like, it'd be nice to even get into like commentaries, like have a script and commentary a movie while we have it playing. That could be an idea as well.
I have of course been doing quite a bit of watch-alongs myself recently. I mean, it's a break from Ghosts stories, but yeah, I've done The Sword in the Stone, I've done The Last Legion, I've done King Lear, all for Celtic Heritage Month.
Brian, we need a show on them dreams that you be having.
Yeah. I do intend to do some videos because sometimes I do have what I call serialized dreams. Like, sometimes they pick up like sometime later.
I
mean, good lord, like, poor Callie. I mean, if she ever hears about me having a dream of me having to rescue her from a humanoid pizza meatloaf thing, how would that be for one of the biggest VTubers right now to hear about me?
That's cancelable, man. You get cancelled for that. I think a dream series discussion would be good, and you could get members of this Discord onto as well to talk about their dreams. That sounds actually quite interesting. As I said in the main chat in the Discord, I didn't dream for fucking years. I did, like, when you don't remember your dreams, and then when you stop all of that shit, man, I was dreaming every single night, and I woke up every single morning, and I could tell you the 5 dreams I had that night, like, perfect clear. I was waking up every single morning, and I could remember like 3 or 4 dreams every single morning. It was weird, and that one that I had there the other night was quite vivid as well. The whole dream I was just swimming, and I'm a good swimmer now, so I'm like a dolphin in this submarine trying to find my way out, and. Yeah, I did make it out at the end, and I drowned in the dream, and that's what woke me up. Fuck, I suppose it was more like a nightmare, but yeah, if you ever need a guest on for that, Brian, if you ever end up doing it, I have a few dreams, man. That needs to be discussed some fucking questionable dreams, man. I had one last week that was in some sort of weird mosh pit. I've never been in a mosh pit in my life, and the dream I was balls deep in this mosh pit. I was the one person in the middle of the mosh pit where everyone runs into, and I was left pretty much left black and blue. I was left in the hospital, and I woke up from it. Like, yeah. So that's a story for another time. We've gone way off track here. Yeah. So the Aztec Mummy movies, I'm interested to see what they're going to be like. First time on the channel, I think, actually reviewing a movie of this style. Actually, a Mexican movie, quite interesting. The sequels do sound quite silly. Hopefully the quality is a little bit better in them, video wise. Again, that's what like my take is. I never gave my rating either, by the way. I gave this on Letterboxd a 3.5 out of 5. I enjoyed it, just quality wise. Yeah, I had to nitpick there. Like, there was a lot of scenes that I could legit not say, and I was missing parts of the movie. And another thing that popped into my head there is a lot of filler scenes in this movie. Like that, even though it was a nice flashback scene of what happened to the princess and the Aztec warrior that became the mummy. Obviously, it took a long time. I felt like that took up a big chunk of the movie. And it's like the runtime of this movie is an hour and 20 minutes long, so it's a good bit longer than the Karis movies. But I felt like there's a lot of scenes, especially when the doctor's daughter took the chest plate and put it under her pillow. That scene, took a long time. That scene, and I was like, Jesus Christ, this scene is actually still going on. And there was a couple of filler scenes around the Aztec pyramids as well. And that's one thing that just had to pop into my head that I forgot to mention earlier. If I was to nitpick it, yeah, there is quite a lot of filler scenes that we're not really used to with the other movies. Like the Universal movies didn't have too much filler. Like, there was quite a lot of action going on besides the flashbacks that we were getting pretty much every movie. Filler scenes wise, I didn't feel like there was many. Yeah, so my final rating would be a 3.5. Maybe I'd probably lean more at that I'm talking about. Maybe a 3.5. I did enjoy it. Yeah, so that's it. If you made it this far, make sure you like the video, subscribe if you're on YouTube. If you're listening over on Spotify, leave a rating. Make sure you're following the show. There's more movies. There's a lot more mummy movies to come. Next week we're going to review the sequel to this. Hopefully, The Curse of the Aztec Mummy. So we'll see what that's like. And so, Brian, where can we find your stuff, man, for the listeners?
You can, of course, find my stuff on YouTube. I am currently playing Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2. Going to be getting back to reading The Travels of Marco Polo, getting back to doing ghost stories, and I'll be streaming tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. EST. Going to be continuing with Golden Sun: The Lost Age.
Oh, nice, man. I might actually tune in for that, actually. Yeah, I noticed that you're getting back into the streaming. You can find Zontarr on this channel, and you can also find him over on Reddit. Yeah, no, thanks for joining us today, guys. Really appreciate the panel joining, and we'll see you next week. Take it easy.
Bye.
I am Dracula.